1 day a year. 364 days of waiting. He disappears every time. And he's aging 3 times faster. 8 meetings, that's all they have. Until she makes a choice. 1 year, complete isolation, or lose him forever. But love always finds a way. This is their story. Once a year.
June 21st, the summer solstice. Iceland. The sun barely dips below the horizon before rising again. The sky is painted in impossible shades of purple, green, and gold. Margot Robbie stands on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, wind whipping through her blonde hair. She's wrapped in a thick sweater, jeans, hiking boots, nothing glamorous, no makeup, no cameras, no one asking for autographs. Just freedom. She'd fled Los Angeles 3 days ago. Another premiere, another interview asking about her personal life. Another man who wanted to date Barbie or Harley Quinn, but not the woman beneath those roles. At 32, she'd conquered Hollywood. Academy Award nominations, box office records, magazine covers. But standing here, on the edge of the world, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. The northern lights began their dance across the sky, ribbons of emerald and silver swirling above her head like celestial silk. First time seeing them? Margot spun around. A man stood 20 feet away, camera in hand, capturing the aurora. He was tall, dark-haired, with eyes that reflected the green lights above. Mid-30s, she guessed. Rugged in that way men who actually work outdoors are, not the Hollywood version. Is it that obvious? She smiled. You're crying. She touched her cheek. Wet. She hadn't even noticed. They do that to people, he continued, lowering his camera. The lights. They reach inside and pull out whatever you've been holding in. That's surprisingly poetic for a photographer. He laughed. Eric. And I'm not a photographer. Well, not professionally. I just document what I love. Margot, she said, then immediately regretted it. Would he recognize the name? But Eric just smiled and turned back to the lights. Nice to meet you, Margot, who cries at beautiful things. They stood in silence a moment, 2 strangers watching the universe put on a show. Can I ask you something? Eric said suddenly. And please be honest. Okay. Do you believe in magic? Real magic, not the Hollywood kind, the kind that changes everything. Margot studied him. There was something in his voice, not madness, but knowing, as if he'd seen things that couldn't be explained. I don't know, she answered truthfully. I want to. Good answer. I have until 6:47 in the morning. That gives us 11 hours and 13 minutes. Until what? Eric turned to face her fully, and in the aurora's light, she saw something impossible. He was almost translucent, like looking at someone through water. Until I disappear, he said simply. Until I return to wherever souls like me go when we're not here. And if we spend these hours together, if we connect the way I think we will, you'll be bound to this too. You'll wait 364 days for 1 day. You'll age while I age 3 times faster. You'll watch me grow old while you're still young. Margot should have run, should have called for help, should have done anything except what she did next. 11 hours and 12 minutes now, she said. We should stop wasting time. The first 24 hours. They walked the volcanic beaches where black sand met white foam. Eric told her about his life, or what he remembered of it. "I was born here," he said, skipping a stone across the water, "June 21st, 1993. My mother said the northern lights were so bright that night you could read by them. The midwife told her I was touched by the sky." "What does that mean?" "It means I'm not entirely human. Not anymore. I live one day a year in this world. The rest of the time, somewhere else. Watching, but not participating. Seeing life, but not living it." That sounds lonely. It was. Until now. They talked about everything. Margot told him about Hollywood, the isolation of fame, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who wanted something from you. Eric understood. He'd spent 32 years watching humans live while he existed in the margins. "What do you miss most?" Margot asked, as they sat in an all-night cafe, drinking coffee that tasted like adventure. Eric thought for a long moment. "Touch. Real, solid touch. Most of the year I'm like smoke. I can see the world, move through it, but I can't feel it. Can't hold anything. Can't leave a mark." Margot reached across the table and took his hand. Solid. Warm. Real. "I feel you," she whispered. "For now," he said. "But when the sun reaches 47 minutes past 6, I'll start to fade. And once I'm fully gone, you won't remember my face clearly, won't remember the exact sound of my voice. Only the feeling of this night. Unless I fall in love with you, then I'm bound to the curse too. Then I remember everything." "Yes." "And if I don't love you? If I walk away right now?" Eric smiled sadly. "Then you'll go back to your life. In a few days, this will seem like a dream. You'll be free." Margot checked her phone. 3:18 in the morning. 3.5 hours left. "Tell me more," she said. "Tell me everything. I want to know you all before the sun comes up." So he did. Eric told her about his childhood, the confusion of existing only one day a year, how his parents aged normally while he aged tripled, how his mother had died when he was physically 60, though only 20 years had passed, how his father had begged him to find love so he wouldn't be alone in the in-between. "My father said there's another legend," Eric explained, as they walked along the harbor. "If someone loves you enough to choose the curse, if they willingly bind themselves knowing the cost, there might be a way to break it." "Might be?" "The witch who created this curse, she's still alive, somewhere. She cursed my ancestor 300 years ago because he betrayed her. Every male in our line has carried it since. She said only true sacrifice could break it." "What kind of sacrifice?" "No one knows. But Margot..." Eric stopped walking, turned to face her. The sky was beginning to lighten. "I need you to understand. If you stay, if you kiss me before I vanish, you're choosing this. 364 days of waiting, watching me age, possibly watching me die in just a few more meetings. I'm asking you to walk away." Margot looked at this man, this impossible, magical, heartbreaking man. She'd known him for less than 11 hours. This was insane. But standing here with the sun beginning its brief dip toward the horizon before rising again, she felt more alive than she had in years. "What time is it?" she asked. Eric checked his watch. His hand was starting to shimmer. 6:32. 15 minutes. "Then we have time." She kissed him. It wasn't a movie kiss. It wasn't perfect or choreographed. It was desperate and real and tasted like coffee and salt air and magic. When they pulled apart, Eric's eyes were filled with tears. "You chose this," he whispered. "I chose you," she corrected. They sat on the edge of the harbor, holding each other, talking faster as the minutes ticked away. Eric told her how to find him next year. Same place, same time. He told her about the in-between, how he'd be watching her even though she couldn't see him. "I'll be there," he promised. "In the moments you feel alone, in the beautiful things you see, I'll be there." At 6:46, he was translucent again. Margot could see through him to the sunrise beyond. "I love you. I'll love you for 364 days. And when I come back, I'll love you again." "I'll be here," Margot promised, tears streaming down her face.
At exactly 6:47 a.m., Eric smiled one last time. And then he was gone. Margot sat alone on the harbor, the sun fully risen now, and felt the curse settle into her bones like an old friend. She remembered everything. His face, his voice, the way his hand felt in hers, and she knew she would wait.
June 21st, 1 year later. 364 days, 52 weeks, 12 months, 1 year. For some people, a year passes quickly. For Margot, every day felt like a lifetime. She'd returned to Los Angeles the day after Eric vanished, thrown herself to work. 3 movies, 2 press tours, endless interviews where she smiled and talked about everything except the man who existed 1 day a year. People noticed the change. Directors said she brought a new depth to her performances, a melancholy, a longing. Critics called it her mature phase. Only Margot knew the truth. She was learning to act like her heart wasn't in Iceland, waiting for June 21st. She counted. Oh, how she counted. 364 days became 300, then 200, then 100. When it finally reached 10, she flew back to Iceland. And now, standing on the same cliff where they'd met, watching the midnight sun kiss the horizon, she waited. 6:47 p.m. 1 year exactly since he'd vanished. The air shimmered, and then he was there. But Margot's breath caught. Eric looked older. Not dramatically, but noticeably. The Eric from last year had been 33 physically. The man standing before her now looked 36, maybe 37. Lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. Silver in his dark hair. "You came back," he said, and his voice was exactly as she remembered. "Every day," Margot said, running to him, not caring about the age difference her mind was already calculating. "I thought about you every single day." They held each other, and for a moment, nothing else mattered. But eventually reality had to be acknowledged. "You look older," Margot said gently, touching the silver at his temples. Eric nodded. 3 years for me. I told you. Time moves differently. "So when I was waiting 1 year, you were waiting 3. In the in-between, I can see this world, but I experience it in real time. Every day you lived, I lived 3. Aging, thinking, existing. Just elsewhere." Margot did the math quickly. Too quickly. "Eric, if every year is 3 for you..." "Yes," he said quietly. "I'm physically 36 now. Next year I'll be 39, then 42,
then 45. How many meetings do we have? Eric pulled out a worn notebook. I've calculated it. If I live to the average life expectancy, considering the accelerated aging, maybe 6 more meetings after this one. 8 total. 8 days. 8 meetings. Spread across 8 years. 192 hours total, Margot whispered. That's all we get? That's all I can give you. She looked at him, this man who was asking her to watch him age 3 years for every one of hers, to fall in love knowing that it had an expiration date. Then we'd better not waste a single minute, she said. The second 24 hours. They'd planned for this. Eric had spent 3 years thinking about what to do with 24 hours. Margot had spent 1 year planning. They rented a small cabin in the Highlands, remote, private, theirs. But this year was different from the first. The urgency was greater, the awareness of time more acute. Tell me everything, Margot demanded as they sat by the fireplace. I want to know every detail of your 3 years. So Eric told her. He told her about watching her movies from the in-between, how he'd been in the theater when her latest film premiered, Invisible, crying at her performance. How he'd followed her on press tours, wishing he could materialize just to hold her hand. I was there when you cried in your hotel room in Paris, he admitted. You'd just gotten off a call with your mother. You looked so tired. I tried to touch your shoulder to comfort you, but my hand went through you like smoke. Margot's tears flowed freely. I felt something that night, a warmth. I thought I was imagining it. You weren't. I was there. I'm always there. They made love slowly, desperately, as if they could somehow press 8 years of intimacy into one night. Afterward, lying tangled together, Margot traced the new lines on his face. You're more beautiful than last year, she said. I'm aging. No, you're living. There's a difference. But as the hours ticked by, the unspoken reality sat between them like a third person in the room. At midnight, with 12 hours remaining, Eric finally said it. You need to live your life, Margot. Don't put it on hold for these meetings. Date, fall in love, have a family. Margot sat up, angry. Is that what you want? I want you to be happy. I am happy. I'm happy every June 21st and miserable every other day of the year. Don't you dare tell me to find someone else. Eric pulled her back down, holding her tight. I'm sorry, I'm scared. Scared that 1 year I'll come back and you'll have realized this is madness, that I'm not worth waiting for. You're worth everything, Margot whispered. But Eric, we need to find the witch. We need to break this curse. I've been searching for 3 years, but she's hidden herself well. Then we search together. We have 24 hours. Let's not spend them accepting defeat. So they began. Eric had researched locations, interviewed people in the in-between who remembered the witch. Margot had spent her year consulting with historians, folklorists, anyone who knew about ancient Icelandic magic. By dawn, they had a lead. An old woman in the West Fjords, 287 years old, sustained by magic. She'd been seen once, 30 years ago. Next year, Eric promised, as the sun rose and he began to shimmer, we'll find her. We'll break this. Next year, Margot agreed, kissing him, even as he faded. I love you. I love you 364 days. Wait for me. And he was gone. Time is both slow and fast when you're waiting. Margot learned this cruel truth. Year 3, June 21st. Eric materialized looking 42. 9 years had passed for him since their first meeting, 3 for Margot. She was 35 now. He looked 7 years older than her. But Margot barely noticed. She'd found something. "The Westfjords," she said immediately, pulling out maps, notes, research. "I hired a private investigator. There's a woman, they call her Kolbrun the Eternal. She lives in a hidden valley. I have coordinates." They didn't waste time at the cabin this year. They drove. 7 hours through stunning landscapes they barely saw, racing against the clock. They found the valley at 2 in the morning. A small house, smoke rising from the chimney despite summer. The woman who answered was ancient, skin like dried leather, eyes like burning coals. "I was wondering when you'd find me," she said in Icelandic. Eric translated. "You cursed my family 300 years ago. Please, end this." Kolbrun laughed, a sound like stones grinding. "Your ancestor swore eternal love to me, then married another for money. I cursed him to understand the pain of loving someone he could never fully have. His line would bear that curse until one of them understood true sacrifice." "What sacrifice?" Margot demanded. "Tell us. We'll do anything." The witch studied Margot with those burning eyes. "Anything? Would you give up your fame, your face, your name? Would you become invisible to the world, remembered by no one, so he could be free?" Margot didn't hesitate. "Yes." "No!" Eric grabbed her arm. "Margot, no! Your career, your life means nothing without you." Margot turned to him. "I've spent 3 years pretending to be happy. 3 years of red carpets feeling like funerals. If giving up fame means having you, I give it up." Kolbrun smiled, revealing blackened teeth. "Interesting, but that's not the sacrifice I require." "Then what?" Eric demanded. "True sacrifice requires both of you to give up what you each want most. You, Eric, exist to watch the world. She, Margot, exists to be watched by the world. The sacrifice must reverse these truths." "I don't understand," Margot said. "You will," the witch promised. "But not yet. You need to live this curse longer. You need to feel its full weight. Come back in 2 years. If you still love each other after 10 years of this torture, I'll tell you how to break it." 2 more years? Eric looked at himself. "I'll be 48. Margot will be 37. And if you truly love each other, age won't matter." Kolbrun began to close the door. 2 years. Then I'll give you my answer." The door slammed shut. When they tried to open it again, the house was empty, abandoned. "She's playing with us," Eric said bitterly. "No," Margot said slowly. "She's testing us. She wants to know if we'll last." "Will we?" Margot took his hand, older now, weathered. "What time is it?" 4:17 a.m., 2 hours and 30 minutes. "Then we have time to decide if we want to keep trying." They sat on the hood of their rental car, watching the sun begin its brief dip toward the horizon. "I'm scared," Eric admitted. "In 2 years, I'll be nearly 50. You'll barely be approaching 40. People will think you're with an old man. I don't care what people think. But I do. I care what you will think when you look at me. When I'm 50 and you're 40. When I'm 60 and you're 50. When I'm 70 and you're 60. Margot climbed into his lap, forcing him to look at her. "Listen to me. I've dated actors, athletes, billionaires, men who looked perfect in every photo. And do you know what they all had in common? They were temporary, shallow, in love with my image, not my soul. Margot, I'm not finished. You've watched me for 3 years. You've seen me at my worst. You've seen me without makeup, crying in hotel rooms, doubting myself. And you still love me. That's worth more than any face. Eric kissed her then, deep and desperate and true. They drove back as the sun rose, Eric fading in the passenger seat. 2 more years, he whispered as he vanished. Always, Margot promised the empty seat. Year 4, June 21st. Margot was 37. Eric materialized looking 45. 8 years older than her. They'd both changed. Margot had lines around her eyes now, not from age but from smiling less. Eric's hair was more silver than dark. But when they saw each other, none of that mattered. 1 more year, Margot said immediately. The witch said 2 years, we're almost there. This year, they didn't search, they didn't plan, they just existed together. They rented the same cabin from year 2, made the same meals, told the same stories, but there was a heaviness to it all, the weight of knowing that next year was their last chance. What if the sacrifice is impossible? Eric asked at dinner. What if we can't break it? Then we keep meeting, Margot said firmly. Every year, for as long as we have. I've done the math. I have maybe 4 more meetings after this, 5 total. I'll be in my 60s. You'll be in your early 40s. Then we have 5 more perfect days. Margot, that's not a life. That's torture. She stood, walked to him, pulled him up from his chair. Dance with me. What? Dance with me, right now. No music, just us. So they danced in the small cabin, swaying to the sound of their own breathing, the crackle of the fire, the wind outside. This, Margot whispered, is more life than most people experience in years. Don't tell me it's not enough. It's everything. Eric held her tighter, and for 24 hours they pretended the curse didn't exist. But at 6:47 a.m., as he began to fade, reality returned. Next year, Eric said, we go back to the witch. We end this, one way or another. Together, Margot agreed. Together.
June 21st, the decision. Margot was 38. Eric materialized looking 48. 10 years older than her. 11 years since their first meeting. They drove straight to the West Fjords. No detours, no delays. The valley appeared as if it had been waiting for them. The house was there, real and solid. Smoke from the chimney. Kolbrun answered the door before they knocked. "You came back," she said, this time in perfect English. "After all this time, most couples give up by the 3rd year." "We're not most couples," Margot said. "No, you're not. Come in." Inside, the house was beautiful, filled with books, herbs, strange artifacts. Kolbrun made tea. "5 years," she said, sitting across from them. "You've each sacrificed 5 years to this curse. Him, 15 years of aging. You, 5 years of waiting. And yet here you are, still together, still fighting." "Tell us how to break it," Eric demanded. "You promised, after 2 more years, you'd tell us." "I did, and I will," Kolbrun sipped her tea. "But first, answer me this. Why do you love her, Eric?" Eric didn't hesitate, because she sees me, not just on our one day, but every day. She's built her life around these meetings. She's given up relationships, opportunities, peace for 24 hours a year. Who does that except someone with a soul as rare as the northern lights themselves? And you, Margot, why do you love him? Margot took Eric's weathered hand, because he's the only person who's ever watched me without wanting something from me. He watches because he loves me, not because I'm famous or useful. And because when we're together, I'm not an actress or a celebrity. I'm just, well, me. Kolbrun nodded slowly. True answers. Now I'll give you truth. The curse can be broken, but the sacrifice required is this. One of you must give up what defines you. We know that, Margot said. I'll give up my fame. No, the witch interrupted. Not fame. What defines you? Eric, you are a soul who watches the world but cannot touch it for most of the year. You are an observer. Margot, you are observed by millions. You are an image. I don't understand, Eric said. The sacrifice is this. Eric, you must agree to become fully human, to live in this world every single day. But if you do, you will be invisible. Not physically. People will see a body, a shape, but no one will remember you 5 minutes after meeting you. You'll exist, but you'll leave no impression, no memories, no mark on the world. You'll be the ultimate observer, present but unseen. Eric paled. That's worse than the curse. Or, Kolbrun continued, Margot can give up being observed. I will erase you from memory. Every film you've made will be forgotten. Every person who knows you will forget your face. You will exist, but no one will see you. Not famous, not remembered. You'll be invisible in plain sight. You can be with Eric every day, but you'll both be ghosts in the world. No, Eric said, immediately. Margot's not giving up her career. I'll do it, Margot said. Margot, I'll do it. She stood, facing the witch. Erase me. Make me forgotten. I don't care. I want him free. I want us together. Kolbrun smiled sadly. That's a beautiful answer. But it's the wrong sacrifice. What? Margot stepped back. You said. I said one of you must give up what defines you, but I never said it had to be forever. The witch stood, walked to a bookshelf, pulled out an ancient tome. There is a third option, but it requires both of you to sacrifice for 1 year. 365 days, both of you will live in complete isolation. No contact with the outside world, no phones, no internet, no human interaction except each other. You'll live here, in this valley, completely alone. If you can survive 1 year of only each other, truly seeing each other, with no distractions, no outside validation, the curse will break. That's it, Eric said. 1 year together? Don't underestimate it, Kolbrun warned. Most couples can't survive even a month of pure isolation. No work to distract you, no friends to validate you. Just each other day after day with every flaw exposed. No escape. And for you, Margot, it means walking away from your career at its peak. Films you'll lose, roles you'll miss. For you, Eric, it means leaving the in-between, committing to human form for a year without knowing if it will work. When do we start? Margot asked. Are you certain? Once you agree, there's no going back for a full year. Margot looked at Eric. Eric looked at Margot. "We're certain," they said together. Kolbrun nodded. "Then prepare yourselves. You have until tomorrow's sunrise to say goodbye to your lives. After that, you're mine for a year." The year of isolation, month 1. The valley was beautiful in a stark, lonely way. Kolbrun's magic had prepared a small cabin for them, comfortable but simple. 2 rooms, a kitchen, a bathroom, books but no electronics, a journal each to document their thoughts. For the first week, it felt like a honeymoon. They woke together, made breakfast, explored the valley. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. They made love slowly, without the pressure of a ticking clock. But the nights were harder. Without the outside world to validate their choices, doubts crept in. "What if we're wasting a year?" Margot admitted one sleepless night. "What if we could have broken the curse another way?" "There was no other way," Eric reminded her. "This is the only option where we both stay ourselves." "But are we ourselves?" Margot sat up. "I'm not an actress here. You're not a magical observer. We're just 2 people in a cabin." "Isn't that what you wanted? To be seen as just Margot?" "I thought I did, but maybe I need that part of me too." They fought that night, their first real fight. Not screaming, but the quiet, devastating kind where harsh truths emerge. "Maybe the witch was right," Eric said bitterly. "Maybe we can't survive just each other." "Maybe you're right," Margot shot back. "Maybe I need validation more than I thought." They slept in separate rooms that night. But in the morning, they found each other again. "I'm sorry," Margot whispered. "Me too." Eric held her. "This is the sacrifice, not just being here, but facing who we really are without the things that defined us. I don't like who I am without acting." "Then act, but act for yourself, not for cameras or audiences, for you." So Margot began writing stories, scenes, characters. She performed them for Eric, but more importantly, she performed them for herself. And slowly, she rediscovered why she'd fallen in love with storytelling in the first place. Eric watched and documented, writing in his journal, sketching the valley, recording their journey, not for anyone else, but because observation was in his nature. By the end of month 1, they'd survived the first test, but 11 months remained.
Winter came to the valley. Snow buried them in. No escape even if they wanted one. The world outside ceased to exist. It was just them, the cabin, and endless white. Month 2 brought illness. Margot caught a terrible flu. Eric nursed her through fevers and chills, holding her hair while she vomited, wiping her forehead with cool cloths. "This isn't romantic," Margot croaked between coughs. "No," Eric agreed. "It's real, better than romantic." Month 3 brought Eric's darkness. The curse had always allowed him to escape into the in-between. Now, forced to be fully present every moment, old demons surfaced. "I've been running," he admitted one night, "from my parents' deaths, from the loneliness. The curse let me hide from actually living. Now I have to face it." Margot held him while he cried, truly cried for the first time. Month 4 brought their worst fight yet. Over something stupid, dishes left in the sink, but it exploded into everything they'd been holding back.
"You're not the woman I met," Eric shouted. "That woman was mysterious, ethereal. That woman was a fantasy. I'm a real person, with flaws and bad moods and dirty dishes. If you can't handle that, I can't. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I miss the version of you I idealized." The words hung in the air like poison. They didn't speak for 3 days. In a cabin with 2 rooms and nowhere to go, the silence was deafening. But on day 4, Eric found Margot outside in the snow crying. "I'm not perfect," she whispered. "I'm never going to be that magical creature from the first night." "I don't want you to be." Eric sat beside her. "I was scared. Scared that if I see all of you, really see you, I won't be enough for you. You've always been enough." They held each other in the snow until they were both shivering, then went inside and made love like they were trying to erase the fight with their bodies. Month 5 brought healing. They created routines, cooking together, evening walks, reading aloud to each other. They learned each other's rhythms, pet peeves, comfort needs. Margot discovered Eric snored. Eric discovered Margot talked in her sleep. Neither cared. Month 6 brought a strange peace. They'd survived half a year. The cabin didn't feel like a prison anymore. It felt like home. "I think I understand the sacrifice now," Margot said one evening. "It wasn't about giving up fame or magic. It was about stripping away everything until we were just us. No roles, no curses, just 2 people learning if they actually like each other." "And do we actually like each other?" Margot smiled. "Most days. Most days. That's the most honest thing anyone has ever said about love." 6 months down, 6 to go.
Spring returned. The snow melted, revealing the valley in bloom. Month 7 brought a visitor, Colbrun, checking on their progress. "You're still here," she observed, surprised. "Most couples break by month 4. "We almost did," Margot admitted. "But we didn't," Eric added firmly. 5 more months. The hardest are yet to come. Spring brings hope. Hope brings dangerous thoughts of what you're missing outside this valley." She was right. Month 8, Margot began having dreams about film sets, premieres, the rush of performance. She'd wake up crying, grieving a life she'd walked away from. "I miss it," she confessed to Eric. "I know I shouldn't, but I miss being someone else sometimes." "Then be someone else," Eric suggested. "We'll put on plays, just for us." So they did. Margot would perform, Eric would watch, and sometimes join. They created their own theater in the wilderness, stories told to an audience of 2. Month 9 brought Eric's crisis. He realized he was aging normally now, 1 year for 1 year. But that meant when they left, would the curse return? Would he go back to 3 to 1 aging? "What if we was all for nothing?" he asked desperately. "What if we leave here and I'm still cursed?" "Then we come back," Margot said simply. "Every year if we have to. But Eric, look at us. We've survived 9 months of nothing but each other. That's not nothing. That's everything." Month 10 brought an unexpected joy. Margot discovered she was pregnant. They sat in stunned silence, holding the positive test Colbrun had mysteriously left them. "A baby," Margot whispered. "We're having a baby." "Is that How do you feel? Eric asked carefully. Margot looked at him. This man she'd chosen over everything, and smiled, terrified and happier than I've ever been. They spent month 10 preparing, reading books Kolbrun provided, transforming one room into a nursery, talking to the child Margot carried. What if the baby inherits the curse? Eric worried one night, hand on Margot's growing belly. Then we'll love them through it, the same way we loved each other through it. We'll find a way. Month 11 was the hardest. Margot's pregnancy brought complications. She was sick constantly, exhausted, emotional. Eric felt helpless, watching her suffer, trapped in a valley with no medical help. I'm scared, Margot admitted. What if something goes wrong? Nothing will go wrong, Eric promised, though he was terrified too. 2 more weeks. We can make it 2 more weeks. But doubt crept in, for both of them. What if I'm a terrible mother? Margot asked. I've spent my whole life being selfish, chasing roles, avoiding commitment. You committed to me, Eric reminded her. You gave up everything for this. That's not selfish. But what if you're still cursed after this? What if you age 3 years for everyone again? What if our child grows up watching their father become an old man while they're still young? Then we'll explain it, and they'll understand that love is worth any curse. But the fear was there, real and heavy. Month 12, the final month arrived, with spring in full bloom and their relationship tested to its absolute limit. They fought more in that last month than all previous months combined. The stress of the ending, the unknown future, the baby, the curse, it all came crashing down. Maybe we should leave early, Margot suggested after a particularly bad fight. Just go. We've done enough. The witch said a full year, Eric argued. If we leave early, it might not work. What if it doesn't work anyway? Margot exploded. What if we wasted a year of our lives locked in this beautiful prison for nothing? Then at least we were together. Together and miserable. Look at us, Eric. We can barely stand each other right now. The words hung between them, brutal and true. They slept separately that night, and the next, and the next. With 1 week left in their year, they'd stopped speaking. Eric spent his days outside, walking the valley, questioning everything. Margot spent hers in the cabin, writing in her journal, crying. 3 days before their year ended, Margot went into early labor. Kolbrun appeared as if summoned by Margot's screams. The baby's coming early, she said calmly, gathering supplies. Where's Eric? Margot gasped between contractions. Eric! Kolbrun's voice boomed across the valley, magically amplified. Eric came running, finding Margot in labor, terrified and in pain. I'm here, he said, taking her hand. I'm here. All their fights, all their doubts evaporated. There was only this moment, this struggle, this miracle. The labor was long and difficult, 18 hours of agony. Eric held Margot through every contraction, whispered encouragement, wiped her tears. I can't do this, Margot sobbed at hour 15. You can, Eric said. You're the strongest person I know. You gave up everything for love. You can do this. Stay with me, Margot begged. Whatever happens after this year, promise you'll stay. Forever, Eric promised. No curse, no magic, no amount of time can change that. I'm yours, forever. At dawn on their 363rd day in the valley, their daughter was born. Perfect, tiny, screaming with rage at the world. She's beautiful, Eric whispered, holding the baby with shaking hands. She has your eyes, Margot smiled weakly. What should we name her? Eric looked at his daughter, then at Margot, and then at the valley that had both imprisoned and saved them. Aurora, he said, after the lights that brought us together. Aurora, Margot agreed. Perfect. They spent the next 2 days in an exhausted, joyous haze. Kolbrun helped with the baby, teaching them how to care for her. The fights were forgotten. The doubts seemed silly. They had a daughter. They had each other. Nothing mattered. On the morning of their 365th day in the valley, Kolbrun came to them at sunrise. Your year is complete. You've survived what most couples cannot. You fought, forgiven, loved, and created life. The curse is broken. Just like that? Margot asked, holding baby Aurora. Just like that.
Eric will age normally from this day forward. You, Margot, are free to return to the world. Your fame, your career, will be waiting. And Aurora, Eric asked. Is she cursed? Kolbrun smiled, the first genuine smile they'd seen from her. She is blessed, born of true sacrifice, true love. She'll live a normal life, but she'll carry the mark of the northern lights in her soul. She'll be special. The witch began to fade. One final gift. The outside world believes you are on a year-long sabbatical. Your careers are intact. Your families remember you. Only this year exists in a bubble outside of time. What you choose to tell them about it is up to you. Wait, Margot called. Why did you really curse Eric's ancestor? Kolbrun paused. Because he promised me forever and gave me a day. You promised each other a day and gave forever. You broke the curse not through magic, but by proving that true love exists. Thank you for that gift. And she was gone.
Los Angeles, Academy Awards night. Margot Robbie stood backstage, adjusting her gown. She'd been nominated for Best Actress for a film she'd made shortly after returning from her sabbatical. A raw, honest performance about a woman learning to be herself. Critics called it her finest work. They didn't know she'd lived it. "Mommy!" A 5-year-old Aurora ran up, dressed in a tiny version of Margot's gown. "What are you doing back here, little one?" Margot scooped her up. "You're supposed to be with Daddy in the audience." "Daddy said to tell you he loves you and that you already won, no matter what they say." Margot's eyes filled with tears. "Did he now?" "Uh-huh." "And he said to remember June 21st. "I remember every June 21st, Margot whispered, kissing her daughter's forehead. "Now go back to Daddy before he worries." Eric was waiting in the audience, 49 years old now, aging normally, aging with her. Silver-haired and distinguished. They'd married a year after leaving the valley. He'd become a photographer, documenting the beauty he'd watched for so long. His work was acclaimed, quiet, perfect. They built a life, a real life, not perfect, but real. Margot returned to acting but changed. She chose roles about real people, complex women. She turned down blockbusters for indie films. Fame no longer controlled her. And every June 21st, they returned to Iceland, to the cliff where they'd met, with Aurora. They'd watch the northern lights dance, tell their daughter the story of two people who loved each other enough to sacrifice everything and remember the year that saved them. And the Oscar goes to... The presenter opened the envelope. Margot held her breath. Margot Robbie. The theater erupted. Margot walked to the stage in a daze, accepted the golden statue, looked out at the thousands of faces, and found Eric's. He was crying, smiling, mouthing, "I love you." "Thank you," Margot began, her voice steady. "This role, it taught me something I'd forgotten. That the best performances aren't about becoming someone else. They're about revealing yourself, about being brave enough to show your flaws, your fears, your truth." She paused, looking at Eric, at Aurora on his lap. 6 years ago, I took a year off. People thought I was crazy, walking away at the peak of my career. But that year taught me what really matters. Not awards or fame or box office numbers, but the people who see you, really see you, even when you're a mess, especially when you're a mess. She held up the Oscar. "This is beautiful. I'm grateful. But my greatest achievement is the man and the little girl in the third row. They're my real audience. They're who I perform for every day, and they never need me to be perfect. Just real." The theater was silent, then erupted in applause. Margot walked off stage, past reporters, past handlers, straight to Eric and Aurora. "You won," Eric said, standing to embrace her. "No," Margot corrected, pulling him and Aurora into a hug. "We won. All of us." That night, after the after-parties, after the congratulations, after Aurora was asleep, Margot and Eric stood on their balcony, overlooking Los Angeles. "Do you ever regret it?" Eric asked. "The year in the valley, what we gave up to break the curse." Margot thought about it. Really thought. "I regret the fights, the hard days, the moments I doubted us. But I don't regret a single second, because every hard moment taught me something. About you, about me, about what love actually is." "And what is it?" Margot smiled. "It's not magic or curses or once a year. It's choosing someone every day, even when they're annoying, even when you're tired, even when it would be easier to walk away." Eric pulled her close. "I choose you every day. I choose you back." They stood there, holding each other, two ordinary people who'd loved each other through an extraordinary curse. And in that moment, Margot understood the real magic wasn't the northern lights or the witch's spell. It was this. Every day, every choice, every moment of choosing love over everything else.
Iceland, June 21st, the cliff where it all began. Margot was 48 now. Eric was 59. Aurora was 10, standing between them, holding both their hands. The northern lights danced above them, green and silver and gold. "Tell me the story again," Aurora demanded. "About how you met?" "You've heard it 100 times," Eric laughed. "I want to hear it 100 more." So Margot began. "Once upon a time, there was a woman who had everything, and a man who had nothing but one day a year. And they fell in love in 24 hours. But that was just the beginning,"
Aurora finished. Just the beginning, Margot agreed, looking at Eric. He'd aged well, gracefully. Every line on his face told a story. Every silver hair was earned. And Margot loved him more at 59 than she had at 33. Because that's what real love does. It doesn't freeze time. It doesn't make you forever young. It grows with you, ages with you, becomes more beautiful because it's real. Do you think the lights will come for me someday? Aurora asked. Will I have a curse too? You're not cursed, Margot assured her. You're blessed. You were born from the kind of love that breaks curses. Will I find love like yours? Eric knelt down to his daughter's level. You'll find your own love, your own story. And it might be hard, and it might be complicated, but if it's real, it'll be worth every struggle. Promise? Promise. Aurora hugged them both, then ran off to chase the lights, laughing. Margot and Eric watched her, this miracle child born from sacrifice. Worth it? Eric asked, echoing their old question. Every second, Margot answered. Every single second. The northern lights swirled above them, and if you looked closely, you could see faces in the aurora. Colbrunn, Eric's ancestors, all the cursed ones who'd come before. They were smiling. The curse was broken, not by magic or witchcraft, but by two people who loved each other enough to be real, flawed, human. And that, in the end, was the strongest magic of all.
20 years later, Aurora is 30. She stands on the same cliff. A man approaches, translucent in the aurora light. He asks, "First time seeing them?" Aurora turns, smiling. "Actually, no. My parents met here. Long story." "I have time," the man says. "Well, technically, I have 24 hours. Aurora's eyes widen. "Yes, like your father was. The curse found a new line. But it was broken." "Some curses have a way of coming back, different but the same." He offers his hand. "I'm Finn." Aurora stares at the hand. Knowing if she takes it, she's choosing the same path her parents walked, the same sacrifice, the same beautiful, terrible curse. She thinks of her mother's words, "Your love will be your own story." And Aurora takes his hand. "Tell me everything," she says. "We have until sunrise." Finn smiles. "Once upon a time." And the northern lights dance above them, weaving a new story. Because love, real love, never really ends. It just transforms, grows, becomes something new. Generation after generation. Curse after curse. Forever choosing. Forever loving. Forever.